All right, next up on the agenda for today is House File 2627.
That's your mom, or your husband?
Sometimes they're the same.
Oh, they're sweeter.
Yeah, that's
All right, Representative Norris, we have House File 2627 before the committee with the intent to move it to the Judiciary, Finance, and Civil Law Committee. This is a place that has been in my life for a long time, and I still see it whenever I go get my pedicure. So I would like to, I understand that there is an A1 Authors Amendment, and so I would like to move the A1 Authors Amendment to the bill to get it in the shape you would like. Would you please explain the amendment?
Sure. Thank you, Chair Cagle. The A1 amendment reflects some ongoing conversations that all of the stakeholders have been having. It changes some of the requirements to allow for the sale of a grandfathered business, as well as eliminating the requirement of disclosure of the breeder information in advertisements.
Thank you. Any discussion to the A1 amendment? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion prevails. All right. So with that, we will move to our testifiers. First on the agenda is Aaron Zellhofer. Welcome to the
Chair
committee.
Cagle, if I could just do some brief introductory
Sure.
remarks
Yes.
first.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Representative Norris. Go ahead.
Thanks, Chair Cagle. Chair Cagle and members of the committee, this House File 2627, is a bipartisan bill to protect consumers and prevent animal cruelty while preventing bad actors from coming into our state and avoiding shuttering anyone's existing business. For years, the pet store industry has trended away from selling live cats and dogs. Advocates have expressed concern about the welfare of animals sold through the few remaining stores that engage in this practice. This bill begins the process of ending these sales in our state by prohibiting any stores that don't currently sell dogs or cats from doing so. Importantly, this bill represents a compromise that grandfathers in the stores that currently engage in this practice. These stores will be able to continue selling dogs or cats, including to a new owner after, or under a new owner after the author's amendment that was just adopted, as long as they provide transparency about where they are sourcing their dogs and cats from. This compromise ensures no one loses their living or retirement plan, while also ensuring that these animals are sourced responsibly. It keeps bad actors out of our state while providing options for existing stores who are doing it the right way. And with that, Chair Cagle, I've got some testifiers.
Thank you. Welcome to the committee. If you could state your name for the record and proceed with your testimony.
Hello, Chair Cagle, Co-Chair O'Driscoll. My name is Aaron Zellhofer, and I work for the Humane World for Animals. This legislation takes a practical, balanced approach that allows existing pet stores to continue selling puppies while preventing the expansion of a business model that depends on cruel puppy mills and consumer deception. This bill is modeled after language from Maine and Vermont. I know that there was some concern with the language from California. This bill and this language is not modeled after the California language. This legislation also prevents bad actors from coming into the state. This is a major problem. In Florida alone, a report was released from the Attorney General this year that showed sick dogs being sold, slick sales, and predatory lending at pet stores cost Floridians the tune of $25.1 million per year. We don't want that problem here in Minnesota. This legislation is fair, carefully crafted, compromised solution that protects animals, consumers, and existing business alike. The values of our pet-loving state simply cannot be reflected by leaving our market wide open to puppy mill outlets. Thank you.
Thank you. We also have Michael Swanson. Would you like to come to the and testify? Welcome to the committee. If you could just state your name for the record and proceed with your testimony.
Michael Swanson, owner of Four Paws and a Tail Pet Ranch, Inc. Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the House Commerce, Finance, and Policy Committee. My name is Michael Swanson, and I'm the owner of Four Paws and a Tail, a small non-franchised pet store in Blaine that has been a reliable supplier of pets to loving families in the metro area for over 56 years. I'm here today with concerns about House File 2627. I believe the bill harms consumers, takes away consumer choice and where to purchase a puppy, and threatens the future of my business. Four Paws and a Tail is the last pet store in the metro area that offers puppies. We're a family-run business that has helped generations of Minnesotans find the right pet for the family. We provide a safe, welcoming environment where new pets can visit, ask questions, receive guidance on choosing the right puppy. Every puppy we place comes with a free vet exam, a health guarantee, and full transparency of its origin. Let me emphasize, state law currently requires pet dealers like me to supply the purchaser of a puppy with the breeder's information. We of course also rigorously follow all of Minnesota animals' welfare laws and work hard to set the standard for ethical and responsible pet placement. We've worked hard to build relationships with our breeders, many of whom are small family-run operations, and we take our responsibility to the animals and our customers very seriously. House File 2627 includes a so-called grandfathering provision that will allow existing stores to continue operating as long as breeder license numbers are posted in the store and as long as the pets come from a licensed breeder. I have some concerns that could lead to antagonism of the breeders or for my customers to go directly to the breeder instead of purchasing directly from me. But in terms of my ability to remain in operation, as long as I'm allowed to sell or relocate my store in the future, these amended measures are an improvement over previous versions of the bill. As I've already stated, I already disclose breeder information to all buyers of my puppies as required by current law. The global organization Humane World for Animals, formerly known as HSUS, has made it clear they have a personal agenda against my store, regardless of the care and transparency we provide. This bill unfortunately plays into that agenda at the expense of small businesses and Minnesota families seeking safe, trusted options as to where to buy a puppy for their family. While the bill has been improved from my perspective, I still feel it is anti-consumer choice for those who choose a pet store rather than trying to find a breeder or other random online seller of puppies. Please consider the real-world impact this legislation will have, not on me, but on consumer choice, and while not really doing anything for the animal welfare. Thank you for listening to my concerns.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody from the public wishing to testify? Thank you. Please state your name for the record and proceed with your testimony.
My name is Lauren Calmet, and I represent the Pet Advocacy Network, the national voice of the responsible pet care community. Chair and members of the committee, thank you so much for the opportunity to testify. We respectfully urge you to vote no on House File 2627. California passed a statewide ban on retail pet sales in 2017 with the same goals as this bill that this bill is trying to achieve, but the results have been deeply troubling. An LA Times investigation found that once regulated pet stores were removed from the market, a network of resellers quickly filled the gap. According to the paper, ex-cons and schemers replaced pet stores as middlemen, selling puppies through parking lots, online marketplaces, and other unregulated channels where there is little transparency or accountability. At the same time, the Better Business Bureau's scam tracker reported a 350% increase in puppy scams in the 2.5 years following the ban, as families increasingly turned to online sellers and were often defrauded or sold sick animals with absolutely no recourse. Only a handful of states have adopted statewide bans like this. I reference California specifically because it was the first state to pass one, and it provides the clearest real-world example of how policies like this actually play out over time. The lesson from California is simple. Eliminating regulated pet stores does not eliminate the demand for pets. It simply pushes that demand into less transparent markets where oversight is limited and consumers are more vulnerable. For these reasons, we respectfully urge you to vote no on House File 2627. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Are there any other members of the public wishing to testify? Seeing none, we will move to member question, or actually, we have some amendments here. So Representative Heinzman, would you like to introduce your amendments?
Thank you, Madam Chair. With the author's amendment, I withdraw.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that. So with that, we will move to all of the amendments, Representative Heinzman?
Yes, Madam Chair, I just wanted to make sure I stayed on the list.
Yep, you're still on this. Okay. Thank you. Representative Heinzman, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, about, I don't know, it's coming up on 10 or 15 years, I guess. My daughters decided that they wanted to keep horses. And we have the space, we thought, marked out. It was going to be fine. For those of you who've kept horses, you know that it's a lot of work and there's things you're going to have to figure out. So one of the locations, the location we picked on day one was along a power line route that crosses our land along with the Paul Bunyan Trail. And this will connect, so just bear with me. That looked like it was going to be the best case scenario. It's 3 acres. We went out there, we put in a fence. I brought a 500-gallon water trough. We're good to go, right? Well, as it turns out, no. As a matter of fact, new horse owner not knowing, when you have direct sun, you have massive quantity of algae buildup in a tank. So I moved that tank into a shelter. The problem was, now I had hundreds and hundreds of people coming by every day on the Paul Bunyan Trail, and they don't see any water source. And suddenly my sheriff weekly is getting call after call after call. There's this horse owner out here who's not taking care of their animal. Some of y'all might not agree, some in the room might not agree that it's a similar scenario, but there's a lot of well-meaning people that were coming by my property and thought they were saving these horses from a terrible life, mistreatment or what have you, when in fact I had moved the water into a building so that it was clean and fresh, okay? I have great sympathy for the business owner in this case, while at the same time, Representative Norris, I get what you're trying to accomplish, and I appreciate taking the amendment or offering an amendment to get at this particular issue, but I do believe we're stepping into an area where, while we intend to do good, it may do, just as we heard in testimony, drive purchases further towards an unregulated model. And I hope that we're all very conscientious of that. I wound up having to move my horses out of that location into a different location because the calls were never going to stop, and the sheriff just said, please, Heinzman, would you do something else because this is driving us crazy. I shouldn't have had to do that. And I don't believe that we should be further regulating this industry in this way. But it is what it is, and I think that we're in a better place, Representative Norris, so I hope the bill satisfies the concerns of those folks that have, I would argue, targeted this business, and we can move on, and this will be the end of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Heinzman. Representative Hewitt?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and Representative Norris, does this in any way affect the reputable breeders in the state or anything like that?
Representative Norris?
Chair Cagle, Representative Hewitt, my understanding is that it does not have an impact on the breeders, but I will turn it over to the expert, Mr. Zellhofer, to elaborate on that.
Mr. Zellhofer?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Representative. Yes, the issue that is of concern is supply, and with the amendment that was just introduced about allowing for transparency to still be there, but not working with the other side on the advertising side of things, we believe that we've met a compromise on that information will be provided, but we've worked with the other side to come to a reasonable solution.
Representative Hewitt?
Madam Chair, one last question then. So to the author, Representative Norris again, it sounds like there might be space here for a possible amendment to make sure brokers don't exist in Minnesota, that the stores and that others are dealing directly with the reputable breeder. I don't know if you've thought about that, but Representative Heisman's discussion here, I think that would be a real good angle to try to get some compromise here to shut down anything before it starts or to make it similar to what the testifier said. So that's just my suggestion. Thank you, Representative Norris. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Representative Finke?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Representative Norris, for your bill. It's, I'm an author on this bill. I'm a big supporter of this bill. We heard it and prior. So I have a couple quick questions, or quick questions, maybe not quick answers. But we heard that the bill was used to model something from California, and now we've heard that the bill doesn't, and it models the Vermont legislation. I would love to hear, because the testimony really referenced what happened in California. And as I understand it, this bill is not doing that anymore. So I would love to hear just a little bit about that change from Norris or your testimony.
Representative Norris?
Chair Cagle, Representative Finke, did you, there's some uncertainty about who the question was directed to here.
I am happy to answer that question.
Mr. Zalhoff?
Yeah.
Zalhofer?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Representative Finke. Yes, this model, let's be clear. The language in this bill is modeled after states that have included a grandfather clause. Those states are Maine. Those states are Vermont. Those states are many other states that have not modeled their language after the concerns of California. So if there are legitimate concerns about California, which is a longer conversation, this language is not modeled after California's language. It's modeled after the states that allow for a grandfather clause. The market will not change in Minnesota. So the problems that are alleged with California are not going to be problematic in the state because this language is not modeled after California's language.
And Chair Cagle, I can
Representative
add
Norris.
for Representative Finke just a little bit of the background and kind of the process we've gone through with this bill. So when it was first brought forward, it was just a blanket ban in the state. And then through conversations with stakeholders, including importantly, Mr. Swanson, we've tried to understand what his concerns were and address those in the bill. So we first added a grandfather clause that would allow existing businesses to continue the practice. Then we also changed that grandfather clause to allow those existing businesses to be sold to another owner. And then again, in the author's amendment I brought forward today, we rolled back some of the transparency requirements that were causing some heartburn as well, to try to make sure that we're appropriately tailoring this bill to achieve the public policy aims, which are protecting the consumer and protecting animal welfare.
Representative Finke?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Rep. Norris, thank you very much. I just want to say that I appreciate the work you have done on this bill. Sorry, I can't actually see you. And I appreciate you laying that out, right? Because we continually hear that there is a shared concern about what this is addressing. And we continually hear that there is a market problem if we pass something like this. And I just don't know how we can get to the point that we are at now, given what you have done with this bill, right? And we are compromising to a point that I think the bill's no longer really, in a normal world, I would not support the bill because the compromises don't achieve what I was hoping we would achieve, right? But that is the nature of this place, and you have done amazing and meticulous negotiation to get the bill to a position where we know it's not going to affect the last remaining shop in the market. So if we understand that the bill is doing something we can all agree on, and we understand that we are not going to have the negative ramifications to Mr. Swanson's job, I don't understand why we wouldn't finally move this forward. So I'm very hopeful that this version can move forward and that we can finally get this done and protect these animals.
Thank you. Representative Reimer?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Representative Norris, for bringing this bill forward. Just like looking over some of the language between pet dealer and pet shop. Pet shop, obviously being a physical retail store. I guess I'm concerned and I have questions about, at the heart of this bill is, are animals being treated humanely as they're being raised, right? And like, I think we can all want that and agree with it. My concern is that the equalization between physical shops that we have here in Minnesota, which I think we all want storefronts in our community that are thriving, and then when I look at e-commerce websites, right? how are we guaranteeing that pets that are sold into Minnesota from out of state, massive e-commerce platforms, does this bill address any of that? Or my concern, the heart of my concern is, are we treating him differently than we're treating your massive e-commerce stores?
Representative Norris, Mr. Zellhofer. My tongue gets stuck a lot, huh?
Thank you, Chair Cagle. Thank you, Representative Reimer. This language in the bill will not change the market. There is a grandfather clause. So the issues of e-commerce and all the others outside factors, this will not change. This has been a compromise. And more importantly, what this really would do is prevent really bad situations. What's happening in Florida with $25 million being led over to consumers in Florida in 1 year. So this is really a preventative measure, and it will not change the market as it is right now.
Representative Reimer?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I understand the grandfather clause, just to be clear, but if I were to start Max's Pet Shop LLC based in Florida, and I was a national vendor in an e-commerce website, again, I just want to state my concern that I don't think this bill addresses this unequal commerce that will inevitably happen as we shift our focus more towards digital. You know, I buy stuff on Amazon all the time. I don't think the protections are in this bill to address where puppies would be coming from if they're sold online. Happy to be corrected on that.
Representative Norris.
Chair Cagle, the point is well taken, and it's certainly something as we continue to work on this bill we can look into. I think we may start to bump up against some commerce clause issues if we start trying to regulate interstate commerce over the internet. But we can certainly work with the experts to see if there's some ways that we can put additional safeguards in. Because I share your concern, whether they come from a retail store here in Minnesota or an online store from somebody based in Florida, our underlying concern is both the protection of the consumer and the animal welfare.
Thank you, Representative Norris. Any follow-up, Representative?
No. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Any further discussion to the bill? It does have another stop in judiciary, so we'll be moving it to judiciary. So hopefully we can, hopefully we can work on it between then. Representative O'Driscoll? Good. All right. Representative Norris, any final thoughts?
Thank you, Chair Cagle and members. I appreciate the really good discussion. I think this bill, as it's before you today, represents compromise. It represents stakeholders coming together. And I think we surfaced some additional ideas that as we continue on, hopefully to judiciary, we can continue to see if we can refine it to achieve those public policy goals even better, and making sure that we are keeping bad actors out of Minnesota, protecting consumers, protecting animal welfare, but letting those existing businesses that are doing it the right way continue to operate in our state.
Thank you, Representative Norris. Seeing no further discussion to the bill, I move that House File 2627 as amended be referred to the Committee on Judiciary, Finance, and Civil Law. All those in favor, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? No. Motion prevails. You're on your way to judiciary. Thank you very much.